Hello everybody, welcome back to AI War Fleet Command Champion Adventures. Just a quick reminder to everybody that if you have not watched the previous playthroughs, especially the Spire one, you should probably go back and do that before this one because it builds on stuff from the previous games. If you're not familiar with AI War, go back and check the tutorial, and that way you'll sort of know what we're getting into. But the plan I mentioned at the end of the last session, I tried to implement and failed. Now, I was able to get into V-Date. Eventually, I got one total wipe, and then I was able to hold off their Special Forces reinforcements after that, which is the main thing I was concerned about. However, there were other things to be concerned about, and so I've gone back to here right after we just got the Champion Destroyer, and I'm going to sort of redo a different approach. And the reason is I got into really a totally unwinnable situation. The problem is that they're building up their hybrid fleets in adjacent systems, as you'd expect. You can see over here in Thisbe, there's pushing 700 ships, and this isn't even on alert. So just the number of reinforcements the AI gets as you go up in difficulty, and we're on 8.3 for this, of course, it gets higher and higher and higher. And then the hybrids also are strong enough, they do a lot more border aggression, meaning even though they aren't threat ships, they'll just sense the opportunity and attack and come in. And so if we look at, for example, Namaka here, they have 14 hybrids right now, and there are more in some of the other systems. But as I just sort of ignored the ones in here and they kept building up, we got hit with a CPA. That's going to be about half an hour from now. It's 2 hours and 45 minutes. And so the CPA ships just sort of hung out in one of these systems. Well, they were too strong, particularly given the number of electric shuttles they had with the CPA. Those are going to be annoying, for me to just go in and clean them out. And if I would try to go in and gradually clean out one system, they would pop into my homeworld from another system and attack and blow it up. And so I was literally less than 3 hours into the game, I was already into an unwinnable situation. Because if you just try to hunker down and defend, they're eventually going to get more CPAs down the road. They're going to keep reinforcing their fleets until they come in and smash you anyway. There was nothing I could do to improve my situation. And if I was under a strict no loading policy, then that would simply have been the end of the game, and I would have to try again. Just looking at how hard this is getting already, I have to say, and I was warned about this, of course, by Sendai and some other people, that just as you get up higher in difficulty, the margin for error, the mistakes you're allowed to make, are much, much lower. And I'm really getting about to a tipping point where only people who are really good at the game, and I'm not quite there yet, are going to be able to succeed. So, but I'm just looking at this as something I'm going to learn from. Clearly, clearing out the hybrids from time to time regularly is going to be necessary. And it's also sort of an interesting factor in why it's a really good thing that I have AI progress off for this game. Because if you need to do that regularly and you don't do it super efficiently, or even if you do, just adds to the amount of time the game's going to drag on the higher difficulties. And really, I'm starting to see more and more. I still plan on doing it again myself later just to try it. But I'm starting to see more and more why top players who play on the really high difficulties do not use the auto AI progress. Because, yeah, it just gets overwhelming after a certain point. Okay, so then the other thing, and I'm going to butcher the name, but somebody was kind enough, it was Xanthras, to point out that I actually have resources from the nebulas that I wasn't using yet. If we go into Larissa, and they didn't mention this, I don't think, in any of the text briefings, after you succeed in one of these missions and get them on your side, like say the Grey Spire, you can actually build some of their ships. You can see here this building, Grey Spire facility. It gives us 50 metal and 75,000 energy. I did not know that was a permanent thing. That's nice. We can use their designs. We need to have a Starship Constructor Intergalactic Warp Gate so that it will send them there directly. Now, we don't need to do that, but I'm going to do it because if we look, for example, at the other nebula in Massalia, I don't want them coming out into Nemesis. That's an enemy-controlled system, especially one with a nuclear eye. And we've got a similar facility here, and we can build theirs too. And it looks like they're giving me 3 each of their smaller ships for their cap, the Palisade, the Bulwark, and then one of their bigger Starship level which in this case is the monolith. And so that's really going to relieve me of the necessity of spending knowledge ships to attack. I can spend those more defensively, which is definitely what I want to do with this threat. I want to upgrade turrets where I can. I'm going to need transports soon, the assault transports. But then I'm probably going to want to definitely upgrade my turrets and boost those defenses. Obviously, I'd love to get something like a munitions booster, but we don't have those yet. All of that is really going to be a big benefit. I want to make sure that I use those, and also it makes it even more important that as I go out, I start knocking these. Because we're going to need to go in and clean, I don't want any more powerful planets next to mine that I can avoid. And specifically here, I'm thinking of Ceres. Because if we were to get a bunch of CPA ships sitting in here with a bunch of hybrids, we would be dead in the water because of that radar jammer. Now, I would much rather have a situation where I think because of that and because of the Zenith power generator, this is now my next target. My first target is to clean out a bunch of the hybrids on any neighboring systems. Now, interestingly, Manxami, Bromide, and Luna aren't gathering much. We've got one hybrid in here, none in here. I'm going to be watching those carefully. You see, Pallas already has 20. Ceres has a dozen, and they've also got a couple hybrid facilities. And yet another thing that I'm thinking about is just, as I go throughout the galaxy, knocking out those hybrid facilities as quickly as I am going to be able to. Because you can see, like, these are equipment module factories, and some of the other ones affect their ability to reinforce their subfleets, is the wording it uses. So as I go throughout the galaxy and I find those facilities, I think I want to get rid of them to limit the amount of hybrid reinforcement that they can do. I think that the resistance level at this difficulty is high enough to make that a worthwhile thing. But Ceres, now if we look at the positioning of their stuff, the problem is that it's going to be kind of hard to defend. Because here's the radar jammer. And could I ever really defend that? No, so I'm probably going to, from Calliope, I mean, it's just too close. And the Zenith power generator is on top of this wormhole. So I could put my command station here. But there's not going to be a lot of room. So what I'm actually thinking about doing is that once I take this, really I'd like to go into Calliope, if we just sort of jump in there. I'd like to beachhead this wormhole, but the problem with that is we're probably in range of this lovely command station. Yep, we are. So I would actually have to beachhead back here, but the idea is at least that way we'd be clearing out any significant number of hybrids from accumulating, and here we have, you know, drone spawners. Impairs the ability of hybrids to reinforce their subfleets. Keep them from accumulating a bunch in here. And then do a gate raid in here as well. It'd be a little painful to do. But then I wouldn't have to have a bunch of defenses in Ceres, and getting that Zenith power generator would boost the energy, plus I'd just be able to effectively shift a lot of those turrets into here as a beachhead. Now that would also put this on alert, which would result in a bunch more ships developing in this area, but there's only so many things that you can prevent. So I think grabbing this as protection is better than letting a whole bunch of hybrids just build up in a system with an advanced radar jammer. That just seems to me like it's something maybe I could get away with on lower difficulties. I just don't see myself being able to do it here. Alright, now this is my fleet after I have built everything I can. I've unlocked assault transports to make moving ships around easier, and I'm going to need them eventually anyway. And then I got 4 types of Mark II turrets. I've got the missiles, the MLRS, lasers, and needlers. And I'm eventually going to get the others, including going up to Mark II spiders. One of the things that I was just looking at, and I knew this, I just sort of not something that I'd fully implemented into my strategy yet, is that going up from Mark 1 to Mark 2 is the cheapest research, and it also doubles the effectiveness of the turrets. Mark 3 is 3 times the attack, Mark 4 is 4 times the attack of this one, so it's sort of increasing investment for diminishing returns as you go up. So I really want to be up to Mark II across the board in this game as soon as I can be. A couple of interesting things going on. We've got AI2 deploying strategic reserve to defend. What's that all about? Well, I think what's going on there is that the Devourer Golem is having some fun with one of their core worlds, which is interesting. Any of those ships it destroys obviously is going to be to our long-term benefit, although I'm sure they'll replace them this early in the game. They've got a super hybrid on Europa, and they're also building something there on Europa. It's probably one of the new things that I haven't yet seen. But in any case, here's our fleet. We've got the Illumin, the Light Seeker, the Dawn, Palisade, Bulwark, Monolith. All of those are our special ships. And if we look around, it's time to go cleansing. I'm just going to show this first fight in Palace. Now, they have 23 hybrid hives, which is I'm using as a rough measure of strength. There's 17 in Namaka and 15 in Ceres, and all of those have increased in the few minutes that I've been doing this. So I want to make sure I go in there and clear those out. I want to try to get rid of all of that before the CPA hits. That's my current goal. I'm just going to get away from the fortress. I didn't bring the teleporting leeches in because I figured that would be a waste of time. I'm just watching the hybrid numbers. Well, that's paralyzers. 22 hybrids. So they've still got most of them. And some of these are just floating away to a different system, which is fine. Now we're starting to knock them down. 14 left. Now, we've lost quite a bit here. We're going to get a level 2 reprisal out of this. Okay, now they're starting to run away. But we've taken a significant bite out of them. There's 5 left. Are they all going to jump out? Yeah, they're going to jump out. Okay. Well, then we'll go back and rebuild ourselves as well. Now they came back because we decided to fire on their fortress. I just want to repeat that on the other two. Okay, so here we are in Ceres, and I don't want to destroy the radar jammer because that'll incur a bunch of AI progress. Not a bunch, but I want to eliminate that as much as I can. I did send the raid starships in ahead. Here they are over here. There was an ion cannon right in this area, so they went in and knocked that out real quick. It's only a Mark 1, but a lot of our ships are Mark 1. So I hit that before I jumped in. And here our fleet has just come in. And I'm going to gradually move them off over here. And my goal is to defend. Now they've got an arachnid post over here. We can deal with that with our fleet ships once we've taken out everything else. Of course, here is their modular fortress command station and their standard Mark II fortress. I want to stay a good ways away from those at the beginning. And right over here is a nice clear spot. So I want to defend any fleet that's around, and I assume that they're probably going to send in some special forces after me, so I want to be prepared to deal with that as well. All of that, working on getting right over here in this area, trying to be an open space and defend. Yep, and here they come. Now, of course, they do have the hybrid hives. They've only got a few of them there, about 6 left. They're going after our raid starships because that was the first thing in the system. The first thing that ticked them off. I'm just going to join up here. Now I also want to separate you two out. Keep them behind the fleet if I can. Beautiful. Okay, so then the usual, everything else acts as a screening force. Let's group up here. Didn't get the enclaves, did I? No. Okay, so that's what I want. Now, these drones, that is an unfortunate module that apparently this thing has. That is, it's going to send drones at us forever as long as we're in this system. So that's joyful, but also we have counter drones, so we've got this drone battle going on out here. And if you look at it, yes, I think the ones from our starship are doing just fine. So this is actually going to be, this is rather hilarious. This is going to be an infinite fight, basically. We're going to constantly send out drones. They're going to send out drones. we could sit there and do this until heat death of the universe, and it would never stop. But you know what? Let's not actually do that, because we want to make some progress, and in about 15 minutes we're going to get hit. Put another hive in here, but we're not actually getting much happening. We're not getting a bunch of special forces coming in. And let's see, they've got a handful of ships over here, but not many. So I think this is a good time to just send our fleet ships rather over and knock out this arachnid guard post. And then we started getting these things showing up. The AI gets their own shadow frigates. Isn't that beautiful? It's an AI adaptation of hybrid Zenith Shadow technology, says the description. It doesn't respawn when killed, doesn't have a shadow drive, doesn't gain experience, but comes with very mean modules. And there's some notes about how we'll see him defending an AI homeworld. When AI progress is low, the AI has a ton of resources to invest into these to prevent assassination attempts by your champions. But as AI progress rises, it won't be able to build so many. And at 150 plus effective AI progress, it'll get the minimum amount. So they actually get more at lower levels. And of course, we are very much at a lower level of AI progress at only 30 at the moment. So this is a nice little bonus that we get. Now I'm going to try to knock these out before they come after these. But this is a bit of a special forces response. Okay, there's a third one. Alright, so I want to take out the ones that are closer here. So I want to try to protect. Let's see if we can run a bit. And of course these take a bit of a pounding. I think we're about to lose one of our Enclave starships. Maybe. Oh, yeah, we just barely did. That triggered a reprisal warning. But we got rid of all those. Is there more coming? Does not appear to be. Okay, so that's a minimal thing. So our next barrel of fun was popping the barracks. When I say barrel of fun, I don't really mean that. But it had to be done. I'm just trying to stay roughly out of the range. We've got one of these left. I've pulled in some reinforcements, but lost a lot of them again. I'm trying to stay out of range of their shuttles, electric shuttles, as long as I can. Let's get rid of that electric guardian. And we're going to lose a lot of stuff in here, but I think we're going to survive it. Oh my, maybe not. Yeah, and now they're coming in here with a lot more stuff. Okay. Yep, we're getting out with whatever we have left at this point. And I think we want to just defend and get ready for the CPA. So, this particular invasion, not successful. But we'll be able to come back in, rebuild, and deal with it. The problem is whether that reprisal is going to be too big. So we'll see about that. Alright, so here we go. I have built up to the max on the turrets. I've added some more grav turrets. I've got the intergalactic warp gates set here for space docks and for the starships. Of course, there is a delay in how soon they can become active when you do that. But back behind here, these have proved quite useful against some of the raids. So we've got the Dyson Gatlings back here. Then I've got, of course, my Enclave starships back there. So all of that's in place. Meanwhile, everything else is right here in the middle, which has proven to be the most successful. Now, my main concern here is the electric shuttles. They've got 300 of them. Thankfully, almost all of them are Mark 1. They're powerful. And so I'm hoping that, you know, we can eliminate some of them. Now, the nice thing here is they have a bunch of fast Raptors, and we're going to just knock those out quickly. Relatively. I'm going to move forward just a bit. There we go. Raptors gone. And the shuttles are slow. So they'll be the end of the wave. Got some fighters coming in. This was almost 1,600 ships. I think we're going to be able to handle it with a concentrated defense here. But it's a lot of killing. Comes flagship, Leech starship. Let's get back in here a little bit, everybody. There we go, and now they're... Whoa, are they starting to retreat? They are retreating. Okay. I'll take that for sure. Now the thing is, I want to stay mostly out of their range so we don't get hit by the lightning blast. And just let the sniper turrets take off many they can. Now those are missile frigates. How many... Yeah, they've still got 100 and some of these. So I just sort of want to let us take out as many of those as we can. But alright, that went well. We're going to be getting a couple more coming into Mimas here, and one of those might be a beachhead. So I'm going to... got the fleet ready for that. Well, the first wave was not a beachhead, but the second one was, and that was worst possible scenario. But I had my fleet ready. They weren't that far away. We're just going to ignore all other costs and knock out the beachhead. There we go. And now we're just going to retreat everybody back there and let our turrets do the work now that they're back online. So I think I've got a handle on how to deal with those beachheads so long as I have the fleet in place. That's only the second one we've faced. If I don't have the fleet in place, well, trouble. Now here's the situation in Ceres. They've got... most of the threat is hanging out in here. And I'd really like to clean that out before the CPA hits, if at all possible. Taking out electric shuttles with the radar jammer around, not fun, going to be painful. But what I'm going to do is, once I clean up in Mimas, I'm going to do that as quickly as I can. Because in just over 10 minutes, the CPA is going to hit. So that's my sort of goal. And then once we're through the CPA and comfortable that we've got a cleared out situation, I'm going to come back in here and we're going to take a look at what it's going to take to knock this out. All that'll be coming up next time. Thanks for watching, everybody. More AI War Fleet Command will continue.